Okay, is my screen visible to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Visible.
okay, so in last class we have discussed about JavaScript basics. Okay, like what is JavaScript? Okay, so today we will discuss a few more thing about the JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is what? We have discussed yesterday also in last class also means JavaScript is a programming
Language
language.
or scripting language.
Okay, or we can say JavaScript is a scripting language, right? Can we say JavaScript is a high level language, right? JavaScript is an high level language. High level languages are what? High level languages are the languages which is human readable, okay, which is understandable by the human. Okay, for example, if you are writing JavaScript code, okay, for example, if you are writing JavaScript code, so if you are writing JavaScript code, so you will create the JavaScript file. How you will create the JavaScript file? First you will write the file name. Let's suppose our file name is index. After that you will write the extension. You should know the extension of the JavaScript. So JavaScript extension is .js. Okay, so you have written .js. Okay, and you have written some code. Okay, so the code you are writing in .js file, that is nothing but high level language code, right? That is high level language code. Can we say this is HLL, high level language? Okay, or you can say, or you can say scripting language. Okay, I will tell you why we call it scripting and why we call it programming. There is a reason behind. Okay, so these many terms we can take for this JavaScript file, like high level language, scripting language, or programming language. Okay, let's suppose you have computer. Okay, on so the question is, does your computer able to understand your JavaScript code? So your computer is not able to understand your JavaScript code directly. Okay, so your JavaScript code cannot be understood by the computer directly. Okay, in this situation, what you required, because your JavaScript code cannot be understood by the computer directly. So in this case, what you required, you need you need a translator. Why we need a translator? Because computer understand low level language. Okay, low level language, or we can say machine understandable language. Okay, and machine understandable language is what? Machine understandable language is what? Binary language. Are you guys understanding? Machine understandable language is nothing but binary language. Binary, and binary is what? 0 1 0 1 0 1, something like that. This is what binary, which is understood by the computer. Are you agree with me? Right? So does computer can understand it directly? No. So how computer will understand? Computer will take the help of the translator. Okay, computer will take the help of the translator. Are you guys listening? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible.
Okay, so computer will take the help of translator. Okay, translator, what translator do? Translator convert one language into another. So translator will convert our JavaScript language code into machine understandable code. Okay, so JavaScript use, so what JavaScript use? JavaScript use translator. So what types of translator it use? So JavaScript use, okay, we can say JavaScript use compiler. Okay, we can say JavaScript use interpreter as well as JavaScript use compiler. Okay, so both are the translator. Interpreter and compiler both are the example of translator, right? What is the working of translator? What is the working of interpreter? Do you know, guys? What is the working of interpreter? What is the working of interpreter? So the working of interpreter, for example, here we have our code. Let me just quickly tell you. Okay, let's suppose this is our file. This is what our index.js file. Again, I'm writing index.js file, and this file is containing some line of code. Okay, this file is containing some line of code. Okay, so it is having some code. Line number 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 lines of code is there. Okay, now you want to give these instructions to the computer to execute, because computer cannot understand your instructions, because your instructions are written in which language? High level language. So computer need to follow the instruction, but computer don't understand the instructions. That is the reason we need here translator. Okay, we need a translator, but which translator we are using? Let's suppose if you are using interpreter as a translator. If you are using interpreter as a translator, okay, so your translator name is what? Your translator name is interpreter. Okay, so what is the name of your translator? Interpreter. So what is the working of interpreter? It will basically, what it will do, basically it will read the instruction. Okay, what it will do, it will read the instruction, or we can say it will fetch the instructions. Second, what it will do, it will verify the syntax. Verify syntax means it will check whether you have written the correct JavaScript or not. Whether you have written the correct JavaScript or not, it will checked by the interpreter. After that, what it will do, it will translate your high level language code into low level language code, and after that it will send to the computer. After translation, it will send to the computer, right? So how it is reading the instructions? So it is reading the instruction line by line. First it will read the first instruction. Okay, after that it will read the instruction, or we can say fetch the instructions. Both are the same thing. After reading the instruction, what it will do, it will verify the syntax. It is reading one line of instructions. It is reading one instruction at a time. Okay, then after that it will translate. If syntax verification is done, after that it will translate that particular line of instruction. Okay, it is not reading all the instructions at a time. Okay, it is reading one instruction at a time. Getting? Understanding, guys? So what is the working of interpreter? Interpreter. Okay, so write a note here. So the note is what? Interpreter read the instruction, or we can say interpreter translate the instructions line by line. Correct? Are you guys understanding this? Yes or no?
Understanding, sir.
Good. Okay, so let me just take the snapshot of this. Okay, I have to tell you many concepts, so have patience and try to understand. Okay, don't think it is all theory. It is not all theory, but these fundamentals you should know. You should be aware about these fundamentals before learning actual JavaScript. It is very much important for the freshers. Okay. Okay, now let's talk about Now let's talk about the compiler. Compiler is also a translator, but what is the working of compiler? What is the working of compiler? Is nothing but the working of compiler is nothing but, let's suppose this is not the interpreter, that is compiler. Compiler is also a translator. Compiler is also a translator, correct? So this is what compiler. So compiler, what it will do, the functionality of compiler is what? Read and fetch, verify the syntax and translate, okay? And it also store the instruction. Okay, what it will do, it will do one more thing. It will store the translated data, translated instruction in memory. So what it will do, it will store the instructions. Okay, so if it is compiler, it will store the instructions and it will give to the computer. Okay, because what compiler do, compiler will not read your one instruction at a time. Compiler will read all the instructions. Compiler will read all the instructions at a time. Right now we have 4 line of instructions, but let's suppose if you have 100 lines of code, let's suppose if you have 10,000 line of code, then compiler, what it will do, take all the compiler will read all 100 lines of instructions or 1000 line of instructions at once. Then after that it will verify the syntax. At the time of verifying the syntax, if you will get the error in your code, so compiler will denote error like this. Like for example, you have 10 errors, so it will tell your all errors at once. Okay, but interpreter will display one error at a time, but it will display all the error at a time, compiler. Okay, so after resolving the error, what it will do, it will again read all the instructions. After that, so what it will do, it will read all the instructions at a time, right? Once reading is completed, once reading has been completed, then after reading, what it will do, it will basically verify the syntax. After that it will translate, and after that it will store in the memory, and it will, the instructions, it will forward to the computer for execution. Okay, because computer can understand now the translated language. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, okay, let me just keep it on notes. Okay, so let me write one note here. Note is what? Compiler executes, compiler translate all the instructions at a time. Okay, it will read all the instructions at a time, it will translate instructions at a time. Okay, so what I said initially, I said Java support. Okay, JavaScript what? High level language, programming language or scripting language. But that is not the low level language. Low level language can be understood by the computer. Okay, so now we can say JavaScript, JavaScript support, JavaScript support, like both translator it support. So how many translator we have seen? We have seen 2 translators. So JavaScript can support your interpreter, JavaScript support interpreter. Okay, JavaScript support interpreter as well as JavaScript support compiler. Okay, so JavaScript support interpreter as well as JavaScript support compiler, right? Okay, so this is the one thing. Remember this. These questions may ask in interviews as well. Like JavaScript is an interpreted language or compiled language. So what you will say? What will be your answer? You will say JavaScript support both interpreter as well as compiler both, right? And one more thing. Okay, so there is one more question. Interviewer may ask you one more question like compiled. What are the compiled languages? Okay, what are the compiled languages? So you can say compiled language. Compiled language are two types. Compiled languages are two types. One is JIT compiled languages, JIT compiled, and the second one is what is the second one? AOT compiled. Okay, just in time compiled language and ahead of time compiled language, right? So what's the mean of just in time and ahead of time? I've already told you in last class. What's the mean of this? Do you know? So compiled languages are how many types? Two types. One is JIT compiled language. Second is AOT compiled language, right? So for example, let's suppose here we have our JavaScript code. Okay, let's suppose we have JavaScript file. Please try to understand this concept. It's really important for the interview purpose, because all the basic things everyone knows. Due to competition is very high, so it's like what we can say, the basic things everyone knows, but you should be a little smart and little advanced. Okay, so for example, here in this file we have JavaScript code. In this file we have some JavaScript code. Okay, and here is what we have, our browser which is inside the computer. Okay, right? Now if you are using JIT compiled language, if you are using JIT compiled language, so JIT compiled language execute within the program. Getting? JIT compiled languages execute within what? Within the program. Means it will execute within the program, and translated code will go to the browser. Okay, the translated code will load to the browser. This is what? Okay, not I'm saying wrong. Okay, JIT compiled language means it will load to the browser. It will load to the browser and it will execute on the browser. Okay, so this is the example of just in time compiled language. Okay, for example, if your code is executing at destination, means here in application itself, and you are loading the translated code. If you are loading the translated code on the browser, that is nothing but the example of AOT compiled language. AOT compiled language means you are not sending all the source file, all the source code to your browser. You are sending the translated code on your browser, right? But if your language is JIT compiled language, means what will happen? It will it will load the code. It will load all the code. For example, you have written 100 lines of code, so all the 100 lines of code will load it on the browser, and browser will translate this code. And what's the disadvantage of this? Suppose if your browser is not supporting JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript, let's suppose JavaScript is disabled, JS is disabled. Okay, we can disable the JavaScript on the browser. Some browser disable the JavaScript. So if you are using JIT means you are first of all you are loading your JavaScript file on the browser, and browser will translate your code. If the JavaScript is disabled on your browser, so means your JavaScript will not work in this situation. But AOT compiled language means you are you are translating your code on destination. Okay, in the program itself, and you are sending the translated code. So now if JavaScript disabled or enable, it doesn't matter, follow it will follow the instructions, right? Okay, now let's discuss about the uses of the JavaScript. Okay, now you will feel some interest. Okay, so here we will start the actual coding. Okay, this was just the fundamental, right? So see, so JavaScript. Okay, so we can say JavaScript is what? Client side. JavaScript is what? Client side. We can say JavaScript is what? Client side language. So when we can say client side, when JavaScript is client side. Okay, when it client side, when we are working with, we are using JavaScript with HTML. If we are using JavaScript with HTML, client side means you are using JavaScript with HTML or React. Okay, so this time this this is known as client side, right? And for example, if you are using JavaScript with Node.js, or we can say Express. If you are using JavaScript with Node.js or Express, that time it is what? Okay, so JavaScript server side. Server side when we are using with Node.js, okay, Node.js, or we can say Express. We can say and Express. So that is known as server side. Means we can write the client side code in JavaScript. We can write server side code with JavaScript. Okay, and one more thing which is JavaScript can be used with database. Okay, so JavaScript, if you are using JavaScript with database, okay, so if you are using JavaScript in database, so means like for example MongoDB, JavaScript with MongoDB. Okay, so in MongoDB we can write JavaScript code in order to handle the database operations, right? If you want to write the server side code in JavaScript, so you will use JavaScript with Node.js and Express. And if you want to create the client side validation, then you will use the JavaScript you will use with HTML, or we can say React. Let me give you an example. For example, here you have one form. You have created one form. Okay. So what you will do, if you have created this form, so you have created this form in HTML. So with JavaScript, what you will do, you will perform the validation. Okay. So validation with JS. You will validation means whatever input given by the user, that input is acceptable or not. Okay, so you will do the validation on client side. Why I am saying client side? Because on your browser it will check it will check it will verify the input. Okay, then after that what it will do, it will send to the server. It will send our form data, whatever form data is there, it will send to the server. Okay, so server also we can create with the help of JavaScript. Okay, so this is what backend. Okay, so this is what backend server. Okay, and this is what nothing but client. Okay, client side. Okay, right? And after that you are sending this form data on server, and now server will send this data on database. Okay, it will send the data on database, and database can be created in MongoDB. Okay, if you want to create database with JavaScript, so what you will use MongoDB. Okay, so in database what you have, you will store the data here. Okay, whatever form data will come, so here you will store what you will store, form data. Storing form data, right? So if you are doing this, if you are doing the validation on client side, so that is known as client side JavaScript. If you are performing validation here with JavaScript, so we can say JavaScript JS with client side. Okay, okay, so what we have written, we have created this form in HTML. So with HTML we can use the JavaScript. With HTML, with React, we can use the JavaScript for client side validation. If you want to do the server side validation, so what you can use here, you can use Node.js. Here you can use Node.js. Node.js is nothing but runtime environment. Okay, it create an environment to execute our JavaScript without the browser. Okay, independently your JavaScript can execute with Node.js. It provides the runtime environment. Okay, second is Express. Node.js and Express.js, you can create what, you can write the backend. Okay, so you can use JavaScript on backend. Okay, so this is what we will call it, using, okay, or we can say server side JS. So we are using JavaScript on server side, right? And this is what, using JavaScript for database, right? So in backend, in frontend, and in database, everywhere we can use the JavaScript. Are you understanding this, guys?
Yes, sir.
So what is the client side validation? Means if you are embedding JavaScript with your HTML or with your React, most probably you can understand with HTML. When we embedded JavaScript with HTML, that is known as client side. Server side means when we are writing the backend, when we are writing backend with JavaScript, that is known as server side. And back and database means you are storing data permanently into the database, and that time you will use MongoDB. Means if you are using JavaScript with database, so you can use. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you.
हेलो सर. हेलो सर.
Yes, please tell me.
सर बोल रहा हूँ सर, एक लॉगिन का पेज बना रहा हूँ. लॉगिन का पेज में जो क्लिक का बटन है वो जावास्क्रिप्ट का बनाने के बाद उसमें जो डेटा है वो डेटाबेस में स्टोर होता है जावास्क्रिप्ट के हेल्प से सर.
देखो, जब तुम उस पे क्लिक करते हो ना, तो जब तुम क्लिक
हाँ
करते हो
सर.
तो एक रिक्वेस्ट जाती है सर्वर पर, है ना? वो सर्वर पे रिक्वेस्ट जाती है, या तो तुम्हारी गेट रिक्वेस्ट जाएगी या पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट जाएगी. जब तुम डेटा को सबमिट करते हो जब तुम डेटा को सबमिट करते हो तो तुम्हारी पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट सर्वर पे जाती है. अब अगर पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट सर्वर पे जा रही है तो यानी कि कुछ फॉर्म, कुछ डेटा लेकर आया है. कहाँ से? क्लाइंट से. कहाँ से? यूआई से कुछ डेटा लेकर आया है. अब डेटा को कौन वेरीफाई करेगा? बैकएंड वेरीफाई करेगा. या तो तुमने डेडिकेटेड बैकएंड बनाया है, या तो तुमने HTML के अंदर ही बैकएंड का कोड मतलब वैलिडेशन का कोड लिख दिया जावास्क्रिप्ट के थ्रू, तो दोनों तरह से होता है। या तो तुम डेटा को वेरीफाई क्लाइंट साइड पे ही कर रहे हो, या फिर तुम सर्वर पे भेजने के बाद उसको वेरीफाई कर रहे हो। अगर वो वेरीफाई ट्रू हो गया तो क्या होगा, तुम्हारा डेटाबेस में स्टोर हो जाएगा। मतलब फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये समझो, इस तरह से समझो जैसे कि तुम्हारे पास है इंटीजर डेटा। ओके, तुम्हारे फॉर्म, तुमने फॉर्म बनाया है ना, फॉर्म का लेट सपोज, जैसे कि तुमने एक फॉर्म बनाया है ना, अब फॉर्म के अंदर तुमने दो चीजें बनाई। एक तो बनाया, एक फील्ड नेम के लिए बनाया, एक फील्ड बनाया एज के लिए। ठीक है, तो पहले वाले फील्ड का नेम क्या है, व्हाट्स द नेम ऑफ द फर्स्ट फील्ड, इट इज नेम। ठीक है, अभी दूसरे वाला फील्ड का नेम तुमने क्या बनाया, दूसरे वाले फील्ड का नेम बनाया तुमने लेट्स सपोज रोल नंबर, और वी कैन से एज, है ना। तो तुम्हारे पास दो फील्ड्स हैं, है ना। अभी देखो दिक्कत क्या होती है, अभी नेम को तो मैंने ठीक से डाल दिया, चलो ठीक है, मैंने नेम डाल दिया, है ना। लेट्स सपोज आई एम राइटिंग नेम इज लाइक टर्नरी। ओके, आई एम राइटिंग नेम इज व्हाट, टर्नरी, है ना। अब एज में क्या कर रहा हूँ, एज ना मैंने डाल दी स्ट्रिंग में। एज कैसे डाल दी मैंने स्ट्रिंग में, 20। ये मैंने किस में लिख दिया, स्ट्रिंग में। ठीक है, यूजर ने क्या कर दिया, इसको स्ट्रिंग में डाल दिया। अब यूजर क्या कर रहा है, इसको सबमिट कर रहा है। यूजर इज सबमिटिंग दिस फॉर्म। Okay, so this is nothing but a submit button. Correct? So this is what the submit button. अब देखो, अब ये है, या तो तुम ये इनपुट में जो डेटा आया है, या तो वो तुम इधर ही यूआई पर वेरीफाई कर दो, है ना। ये कोड किस में लिखा है, लेट सपोज इंडेक्स डॉट HTML में लिखा हुआ है ये कोड, है ना। अब दो रास्ते हैं, या तो तुम इधर ही जावास्क्रिप्ट लिख दो HTML के साथ, अदरवाइज तुम क्या करो, ये डेटा को तुम जावास्क्रिप्ट बैकएंड पे सेंड कर दो, है ना। तो बैकएंड पे अगर ये डेटा जाएगा तो ये किस रिक्वेस्ट के थ्रू जाएगा, यहाँ से जाएगी एक तुम्हारी पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट, विच रिक्वेस्ट विल गो, पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट, बिकॉज वेन एवर वी सबमिट द फॉर्म, so that is what the post request. Okay, and where it will go, it will go to the server, है ना। तो let's suppose this is the server. Okay, so what server will do, server will verify the input. What server will do before storing the database, ultimately this name and age I have to store into the database, but I have created database table. Let's suppose I have created database table. Okay, let's suppose I have a database table, and in database table I have created two fields. I have created two fields to store the data, because in table we can store the data, and the first field name is name, and the second field name is, what's the name of the second field, age. So in database, here we have one field which is name, okay, to store the name of the user, and we have another field to store the age. Okay, but whenever we create the column in database table, so we define the data type as well. Okay, so what's the data type of name, this is the string. What's the data type of age, it is what, it is what,
int,
integer,
sir,
it is
int.
integer. But user is sending what, here user is sending, here it is user is sending what, name, which is string, that is fine, that is no problem. But when user is sending this age, when user is sending age, but age should be integer, but user is sending age in what, age user is sending in string. So that is why this is wrong, this is wrong. So if you will store the data into the database without validation, so it will क्रिएट एन इश्यू, है ना, तब एरर आएगा। तो इसलिए हम क्या करते हैं, सबसे पहले हम डेटा कहाँ सेंड करते हैं, सर्वर पर। अब सर्वर क्या करता है, वेरीफाई करता है, सर्वर चेक करता है डेटा वेरीफाइड है नहीं, अगर नहीं है तो उसको वापस से एक मैसेज दिखा देगा क्या ये एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है इनपुट। ओके, देन आफ्टर दैट इट विल सेंड टू द डेटाबेस, इफ एवरीथिंग गोज वेल, then it will send the data into the database in order to store it permanently, because unnecessary data we cannot store, We will store the valid data, right?
Right, sir, right.
Okay, okay. So this is the thing what I want to explain. Okay, one more thing. Let's try to understand one more concept, which is okay. So you understood, guys. So if you want to perform the client side validation, so you will use JavaScript with HTML or React. Suppose if you want to create the backend with backend server with JavaScript, so what you will use? You will use JavaScript with Node.js and Express. Okay, and JavaScript for database means you will use MongoDB. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are the different ways. There are the different ways to link the JavaScript, or we can say how many. If interviewer may ask you like how many types of JavaScript are there, so generally people will tell you there are two types of JavaScript: embedded JavaScript or external JavaScript. Means internal JavaScript and external JavaScript. They don't know about anything about the inline JavaScript. Okay, so please you should be aware about the three types of JavaScript. Okay, so how many ways to integrate JavaScript in HTML? How? Okay, so let me reopen it. Okay, so the question is now another question is,
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है सर.
please ask.
सर बोल रहा हूँ सर, वो जो जावास्क्रिप्ट का जो कोड है वो VS कोड को रन कराने के लिए नोड जेएस डाउनलोड करना पड़ेगा ना पहले से है VS कोड कोड में.
देखो, अगर तुम्हें जावास्क्रिप्ट को बिना ब्राउजर के रन कराना है ना, इंडिपेंडेंटली रन कराना है, तो तुम्हें नोड जेएस की जरूरत पड़ेगी, है ना. नोड जेएस क्या प्रोवाइड करता है? रन टाइम एनवायरनमेंट फॉर व्हाट? एग्जीक्यूटिंग द जावास्क्रिप्ट. सो नोड जेएस को तुम एक तरह से एक एनवायरनमेंट समझ लो तो तुम्हारी जावास्क्रिप्ट को एग्जीक्यूट करेगा, क्योंकि ब्राउजर के पास ऑलरेडी V8 इंजन है, तो वो तुम्हारे जावास्क्रिप्ट को समझ लेता है, बट तुम्हारा VS कोड नहीं समझेगा जावास्क्रिप्ट को, तो उसके लिए तुम्हें नोड जेएस डाउनलोड करना पड़ेगा. वो बताऊंगा मैं जब जावास्क्रिप्ट का कोड लिखेंगे तब बताएंगे. इट इज जस्ट बिगिनिंग, सो आई एम टेलिंग यू द fundamental things which will help you in interview as well. How JavaScript is integrated into HTML. How we can integrate the JavaScript in HTML? So there are different ways. The first way is you can write inline JS. What you can write? Inline JS. Second is what? You can write embedded, or we can say, see, embedded JavaScript we can say, or we can say internal JS. Okay, both are the same thing. And the third one is external JavaScript, external JS, right? So there are the three different ways to integrate JavaScript with HTML. Okay. Okay. So what is the first way? What is the first way how you will integrate JavaScript? So what will be the syntax? For example, here you have to create one button. Let me write the syntax. Let's talk about inline JavaScript. Okay. So inline JavaScript. Okay, let me tell you directly with VS Code. Okay, let me tell you directly with VS Code. Otherwise, it will make an issue. So let me open the VS Code. Okay, so So here this is my folder, and here I'm creating one file which is index.html. Which file I am creating? Which file I am creating? I am creating index.html file. So this is what HTML file. Okay. So here I will write the HTML code. How can I get the boilerplate code of HTML? I can write this exclamation sign. Here I got the boilerplate code. Okay. So here what we are understanding in inline JavaScript. JavaScript. Okay. So how we can write the inline JavaScript? So in order to write the inline JavaScript, we will write the JavaScript inside the element. How we will write the inline CSS? For example, if I want to write the inline CSS, let's suppose I'm writing hello world. Okay. I'm writing here print hello world. Okay. And I'm writing here style. Okay, style color is what? Red. So what I'm writing here, this is what in inline CSS I'm writing. But how you will write the inline JS, inline JavaScript, inline JS? How you will write inline JS? You will, for example, I'm writing here button. I'm creating here button. Okay, and my button name is print. Okay, my button name is print. Right. So let me just go live. Let me just run this file on browser. Then we will see. So we are getting this output. Okay, this is what we implemented inline CSS, but we didn't use inline JavaScript. Okay, so for using inline JavaScript, what I will do, just give me a minute, guys. Just give me a second. I'll come back. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Okay, are you there, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here what we are writing, if you will see this line, here we have written inline CSS. Now the question is how we will write the inline JS. Okay, inline CSS we already know. So here I will use here one on click. Okay, I'm writing here one on click, and in this on click I will write the JavaScript. Okay, inline JavaScript. For example, I'm writing here window.print. Okay, so window.print is the JavaScript method. So this is how we can write the JavaScript, and how we will verify is it working or not. So let's go to the browser and let's click on this print button and see it is working. It is working or not. The print command is working. If I remove this, if I will remove this, now let's check whether it will work or not. See, it is not working now. So this is how we can write the inline JS. Inline JS. Understood, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So this is an example of inline JS, and how many types of we can integrate the JavaScript. So there are three ways. Okay, first way is inline, second is what? Embedded or internal. Next is what? External. Now let's discuss about the let's discuss about the this internal JavaScript. How you will insert the internal JavaScript. So whenever you want to insert the internal JavaScript, okay, so if you want to insert the internal JavaScript, so what you need to do, you will create here a script tag. For example, I'm removing, I have to write here internal CSS. Internal CSS. Okay, if I want to write the internal CSS, so I'm removing this inline CSS. Okay, uh, okay, let me just comment this as of now, and this is what internal JS. Okay, internal, or we can say embedded JS. So for example, I have to write internal CSS. So how we will write the internal CSS? We will use the style tag. Okay, after that, what we will do, we will target this element. The element name is h1, and what we will do, we will write here font size. Font size is what? 40 pixel, and color is what? Color is violet. Okay, so will it work? Will it work? Yeah, so this is working. This is working. Print hello world. It's coming like this because this is what CSS I have written in internal or embedded CSS. Okay, but we have to check how to write the external CSS. Okay, so I mean internal CSS. So here we will write the internal CSS in head section. As we are writing this internal CSS in head section, similarly we will write internal JS, internal or embedded JS. Okay, so here we will write in head section. So which tag you will write? For writing the internal CSS, we write style tag. For writing the internal JavaScript, we will use the script tag. Okay, and in script tag. Okay, for example, I'm again creating a button. Okay, so my button name is what? Okay, print. My button name is print. Okay, so here what I will do, here I will create one function, or when someone perform this on click operation. Okay, so there is one function which should call. Okay, let's suppose my demo function. Okay, demo function is there, but this demo function JavaScript code I will write here inside this script tag. Okay, so how I will create the function, we will learn function later, but as of now you can understand we can create function like this. Okay, and here we will write the command. So what command we will write? What command we will write? Window dot print. Okay, this command we will write. Now let's check. Okay, let's suppose if I'm not writing this, if I'm not writing this function, then will it work? It is not working. But if we will write this function inside the script tag, so will it work? Yes, it is working, right? So this is how what we write. We write the internal JavaScript. What we call it? Internal JavaScript. And this is what? Internal CSS. Internal CSS and internal JavaScript. Understood, guys? Okay. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what? Internal or embedded JS. Okay. So here we have code. You can access this file. You have access of this file. Okay. I've shared in your group. So you can later you can practice this code, right? Okay. Now Next JavaScript is what? What is another way to integrate the JavaScript? External JavaScript. External JavaScript means we will write separately JavaScript. Whatever JavaScript we are writing here, whatever JavaScript we are writing here, we will write it into another page. Okay, which page? We will create here one JavaScript page, index dot, or we can say, okay, like demo.js. What is my file name? Demo.js. So whatever code we have written here, this is what JavaScript code. Is it JavaScript code or not? This is the JavaScript code. So I will just cut this code from here and I will paste this code inside the JavaScript file because we have created separate JavaScript file right now. So this JavaScript code I have written separately, but your HTML don't know about this demo.js file. You can only see this demo.js file, but HTML index.html don't aware about JavaScript. So what you will do inside this script tag, so what JavaScript we are learning? We are learning here external JS. But before learning external JS, let's talk about how we write external CSS. So we write external CSS, we create one style.css, we create style.css, and whatever code we have written here, we will write that code here in style.css separate file, right, in separate file. But if you will see here, that code is not applying. What in CSS, what I am saying, color is what? Violet, but it is not applying. Why? Because we didn't link our external CSS. Whenever we are working with external CSS, so we need to link external CSS. So how we will link our external CSS? We have link tag in HTML, and here what we write? We write the path location of our CSS file. Okay, so it should be there in this folder. Okay, so what we will say? We will say our file is in current folder. Dot means current folder, forward slash. When you write the forward slash, so it will display the current files which is available in current folder. So I will link the style.css. The when you will link the style.css, so it is coming. Okay, so whatever style.css code you will write on external file, it will apply. Border 2 pixel solid and green. Okay, so it will apply. Your code is applying, right? Let's suppose if you are writing background color, okay, black, so it is applying, right? But this JavaScript code is not applying. Why JavaScript code is not applying? Because we have written the JavaScript on external file, but we didn't link this external file. So how we will link the external JS? Link external JS, but how? You will write the, what you will write here? You will write one attribute called src. In a script tag, you will write one attribute called src. In this src, you will mention the path dot forward slash, and it is saying which file you want to link. So I want to link this demo.js file. Okay, and you can write one more attribute which is type. Otherwise you don't need to write. Otherwise it will work. If you want to write, so you can write, which is text oblique JavaScript. Okay, so it should work. When I'm clicking on it, so it is performing print operation, right? If you will remove this text oblique, still it will work. Okay, still it is working. Are you understanding, guys, how we can link our JavaScript in
Yes, sir. Yes.
different ways, right? So external JS, okay, and this is what style.css code, style.css code. Okay, then we have demo.js code. This is what demo.js code, right? And this file is what? This file is index.html. Okay, so we have learned, we have seen how we can use inline CSS in our JavaScript. Okay, inline CSS and inline JavaScript, how we can use both. Then we have seen embedded JavaScript, how we can use, and then we have seen how we can use external JavaScript. Okay, right. So that is enough for today, guys. You just practice this. Okay, so in the next class, I will tell you the data types in JavaScript. Okay, in the next class, I will tell you the data types in JavaScript. Okay, so that's all for today. Do you have any question, guys? Anyone have any question?
Sir, no, no.
All right. So thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. Okay, be regular, be on time. Okay, bye all of you. Good night.
Okay.